Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming for this great topic. I have noted since I've been here at the Parish that this topic is one that many people have raised. They talk about the necessity in their lives of being a caregiver for someone and the kind of stresses that are often associated with it. And so people have spoken with me both openly and privately about their own dealing with that. So we were talking about things that we might do in this life series. We thought this was a pretty important topic. So we're really lucky to have this wonderful lady from the Visiting Nurses Association who deals with this topic quite frequently. So without further ado, I'm not going to take your time. I'm going to invite you to come up here or to use the microphone wherever you like.
I think my voice is very. Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Get this gentleman here. Packet. My name is Jody Wiltenberg, and I am a medical social worker with the Visiting Nurses here in Indiana County. My job is to go visit patients in their homes or in facilities, wherever they may be at, and assist them with whatever their needs may be. Primarily, our goal is their goal. So if they want to move from a home into a facility, I can offer that assistance to do so. If they want to stay at home, we need to figure out the resources to keep them safe at home. And that's what is bottom line, safety. So what I have done, I have come across many families that are in a position to care for a loved one, whether that's a parent, whether that's a spouse. As of late, I'm seeing a lot of spouses taking care of spouses. One in particular is married 72 years. So, I mean, those are the type of situations where we visit them daily. And part of what I do is I talk with the family. I figure out what resources they have, what resources may be out there that can assist them to ensure that their loved ones' needs are getting met, as are the caregivers. The caregivers are kind of like that lost population out there. I think they take on a role that is one that is not necessarily the most pleasing role at times. It can be heartbreaking as much as it can bring joy. And I think that with that being said, you know, caring for that caregiver is something that definitely needs to take place. And that can come in many forms. What I provided for you today is a packet of just different resources. For as similar as situations are, they're just as different. So sometimes caregivers need that outside support. They need that break. They need to step away. Whether you're caring for a loved one who may be bedbound, or a loved one with dementia, or some sort of memory issues. Having been a caregiver for my grandfather for 13 years, he suffered from dementia, as far as a laundry list of many other health issues. So it took me really advocating for him, and that's a big role of a caregiver that I don't think a lot of people really recognize, is the fact that you have to step out there and you have to say, this is what they need. I need this. And you have to make your voice heard. Your voice does matter. There may be situations where you feel that that's not the case, but your voice matters. And in my position, I'm always listening to the caregiver. I mean, I'm in there for an hour, maybe 2 hours. I don't know everything that there is to know about the dynamics and, the relationships or the lack of relationships, but this person stepped into this role. So, I really involve the caregiver as much as possible, as much as they're willing to participate, to gain as much information as I can to be as helpful as I can. There are resources out there. Is anyone, or all of you caregivers? Every single, okay. All right. Or who's dealing with the family, someone you're caring for with dementia, Alzheimer's, some sort of memory issue? Anybody? Okay. Okay. So half of the crowd. That is something that continues to be a difficult situation. Dementia in and of itself has such a spectrum. My grandfather dealt with very mild dementia for probably 8, 9 years. I mean, it just lasted at that level for a very long time. And then, all of a sudden, little things started happening. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, this is getting to a point where I'm not quite sure I can handle this. And then I stepped out of his room and I thought to myself, this is not his world. We have to live in his world now. This is what he believes this world is. He used to say to me, I don't know what happened to your grandmother. My grandmother had passed 13 years prior. She lived here with her sister, and I haven't seen her since. She was mad at me. She left. My mom, who would be his oldest daughter, and I his oldest granddaughter, my mom would say, Dad, Mom's been gone. She would get into this, button heads, and trying to really deal with it. She was here, she left, and now she's not doing it. Dealing with a loved one with dementia is a very challenging role, but if I look back and say, how did I even do that? I mean, faith is so important. And I pulled the roots out of every church service I was ever in, every lesson I was ever taught, and really faith was about getting through it. It truly was. Then I began to get a little angry because at that time there wasn't a lot of things out there. So I ended up having a great nurse from my grandfather, and she came in and she said to me, we need to get you some help. I said, yes, please. So there's programs out there. There's waivers. There's things called waivers. There's some requirements for them, primarily income, that type of thing. Waivers can really provide that ongoing support. There's many kinds. There's a traumatic brain injury, there's waivers. If they're autistic, there's waivers. If they're aging and just getting older, there are waivers. Those type of programs are funded through, the state lottery and all of these other programs that feed into these things. And they are absolutely priceless in value. They can provide many levels of care, assistance in the home, homemaker services. Some can provide transportation to doctor's appointments, respite for caregivers. The list goes on. Some of them can be mighty long. Those type of programs, one of the main brochures I have in there is aging services. Your local aging services office is a good start point when you're not quite sure. The other is very simple, PA211. PA211 is you just dial 211 and then recording comes on and says what area. So you put your zip code. And at that point, it will give you this What are you looking for? I'm looking for help in the home. I'm looking for help from my dad. And it will actually give you resources in your local community to reach out for. It's a free service. There's no charge whatsoever. It's just all information. I had a family member who wanted to move across the state of Pennsylvania. Didn't know what facilities were out there. So we figured out what the zip code was, and 211. Put that zip code in, and boom, we had resources right at our fingertips. So it's a really great thing to use, and it covers the entire state of Pennsylvania. Okay? Now, one of the things that I really enjoyed was learning about this book called The 36-Hour Day. If you have not had a chance to read this, please do so. I have some photocopies of the front and back of this book up here if you'd like to have one. This puts so many things in perspective. So many. It deals with different behaviors, it deals with different interactions. This is a wonderful read for $20, and it really gives you a good peace of mind. It's the 36-Hour Day. Sure. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of those different outlets. But this is a really great book that offers a really good insight into being a caregiver. And let's face it, most of these days feel like 36-hour days at times. The other thing that we have in there is, like I said, your aging services. They can offer supports. Unfortunately, we have COVID going on now. So some of these supports are very limited. Some have gone away, to be very honest with you. So it's very difficult sometimes when you're looking for that extra help to find it, because a lot of these programs have just said, you need to stop here for a while until we get this under control. So with that being said, I'm sometimes feeling as if my back is against the wall, because now everything becomes more limited. So I end up going and figuring out there's got to be other things out there. And then I just keep researching and keep finding. So some of the things in here, we also have, this is a great help for caregivers. This is called Project Lifesaver. If you have a family member, this is going to bring you so much comfort. This is a program in your local district attorney's office. We've all seen the stories on the news. Someone left the home, can't find them. This is what they're wearing. Where are they from? We've all seen those stories. And some have ended well and some have not. This is going to offer so much. I can't even describe it. This is going to offer so much comfort in knowing this is a tracking device. It comes as a bracelet or as an anklet. This is offered by the district attorney's office here at our courthouse. It is a free service. It is offered to children and adults who have issues with wandering. So if you have a loved one who begins to wander odd hours of the night or even day, this is fantastic. Again, it's free of charge. It gives you peace of mind. What it boils down to is if your loved one has left and you can't find them, they'll actually track the actual location of them in seconds. So we're not waiting for the bloodhounds to go out. We're not waiting for all this time to pass. This is going to get help to your loved one almost immediately. All you have to do is contact the DA's office and ask about Project Lifesaver. This in and of itself is just a fantastic service. And again, as a caregiver, this can bring you a lot of comfort, especially in those times where, God, you need to remember the store, and I'm afraid to remember the store, and I'm only going to be gone 20 minutes, but boy, can they get into a whole lot of stuff in 20 minutes. This offers a really good peace of mind. Okay? As caregivers, we also need assistance as far as support. Indiana County has been a really great area to offer numerous support groups. There's a listing, front and back, caregivers, dealing with grief, dealing with pretty much anything. Alzheimer's, caregiver support groups, and it's a nice venue for a lot of people to just gather together and say, yes, I have to do that every day. How do you do that? What works for you? And really offer one another support. A lot of these support groups, they end up eating coffee afterwards or those type of things. So it's very helpful. One of the other things too for caregivers is a lot of times we deal with people with lung conditions. It gets kind of scary at times whenever your loved one can't breathe or has difficulty breathing. So there's a program called Breathe PA, Breathe Pennsylvania. This is a program that is extremely simple. It's primarily, look here on the back, your doctor fills out a form saying that yes, they have COPD, they have some sort of lung condition, that they need these type of things. They can offer assistance with paying for medications. They can offer you a free room air conditioner, from nebulizers to all kinds of different items. So this is a really great program to kind of take the load off, take the stress off of trying to provide different services for your loved ones. Because oftentimes the finances do fall on the caregivers. The other thing, some of the stressors that can also play a role is just stretching the monthly Social Security or whatever it is to the absolute brink until day 31, and then you're like, hallelujah. These two here are programs. One is a listing of food pantries, all of Indiana County, and their locations, dates, and times. If your loved one is in need of needing that extra support of food, please head to the food pantry or contact them. There's a contact number up here. Just give them a call and get your loved one enrolled. The other thing is, if your loved one's 60 and older, there's also another program. I call it a senior box program. This offers even more food above and beyond the food bank, food pantry. So they get a box of food, meats, cereals, vegetables, milk, just good staple foods. But these are both great resources to keep in mind as well. Now, Pennsylvania has something called a yellow dot program. Has anyone ever heard of that at all before? They've recently started talking about it on the news, just kind of out of the blue, and I'm not quite sure what that is about, but the flyer here explains the program, and it's super simple. It is a yellow dot sticker the size of probably a baseball that you put in your loved one's rear window in the corner of the rear window. And what that does is that's going to notify, God forbid, if your loved one's in an accident. The paramedics, the EMTs, and the emergency personnel are trained to know what the yellow dot means. What that means is the person in the vehicle has a medical condition that needs to be addressed. So this packet, this program comes with the dot, and it also comes with an emergency form. It comes with, what is the condition that the person may have. Maybe they're nonverbal. Maybe there's an issue. They can drive, maybe they're nonverbal. Or maybe they have seizures and they're not able to talk at times. What happens is at the emergency, the paramedics go directly to the glove box and they look for this information. So it's going to notify them almost immediately upon arriving at the scene of an accident or even a fender bender. you know, that the person in that vehicle has some sort of condition that they need to pay attention to. Okay? So this is a really, really neat program, I think, that is, just don't think about it whenever you go through the day-to-day type of thing. Now, agingcare.com is a fantastic resource for those of you who get on the web and, Google different things and whatnot. Agingcare.com is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. This is an actual caregiver survival guide that agingcare.com has put out. They have all kinds of information. They have, every day in my email, I get a newsletter that has all kinds of caregiver questions. My loved one is cursing me out, what should I do? My loved one keeps falling, what should I do? I think he should go to a facility. He doesn't want to, what should? So it's really throwing these questions right out there to other caregivers to say, how'd you handle it? What would you do in my situation? And through that, you can actually gain support. But this is a really, really great means of being able to talk with your loved one, plan with your loved one, and just find supports for yourself. We need to take, even if it's an hour, even if it's just stepping out on the porch, we need to take that time. Some people find solace in coming to church. Some people find solace in just going into the back of your head. If that is worth it, it's absolutely worth it. Other resources in there, transportation. Sometimes people are looking for transportation for their loved ones. Maybe the caregiver works. Those type of situations that you can always look at, okay, well, if I get met in, they'll pick them up, they'll get them there, and bring them right back to the house, or, Indigo, shed ride, that might be too long for them to go on. There's all kinds of options. There's probably at least 15 to 20 options on that transportation flyer. Also, please check your loved one's insurance card. Highmark offers a program called Access to Care, where they'll actually pay for the transportation for your loved one. So flip that card over, read it that 800 line, and call them and ask them, my mom, my dad, my sister, they need transportation to their doctors. And you'll find through a small intake program that they'll set it all up. They take the worry out of it. Some insurance companies seem to be grasping the concept of people needing to be at their doctor's appointments, but Blue Cross is the one that's really providing the Access to Care program for people to get to their appointments. So keep that in mind. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. So that's pretty good.
It's 49 miles to Allegheny General to Oklahoma City here.
Is that right? So you just made it?
Yeah.
Yes. So, but that can get you to Pittsburgh hospitals.
Well, Indigo has a facility that goes every Thursday.
Yes. And then they go Tuesdays to Punxsutawney.
Okay.
So, and that's the shared ride. I think it's like $30 or $40 each way. It can be a little pricey at times for the Pittsburgh and Punxsutawney trips. Locally, it's like 40 cents each way. Man, can't beat it. Or you can get change back from $1,
But Highmark picks up the tab.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Highmark has really stepped up quite a bit whenever it comes to really making sure their consumers get what they need. You need to get to doctors. And, we're in a position now where, a lot of people aren't driving anymore. Families are busy. You're able to do it. Why not? So utilize what you're paying for, you can pay your premiums or whatnot. See what they have to offer, you'd be surprised sometimes. All it takes is just calling that 800 number, number services, and get your answers. Answers always know until you ask, is my philosophy. All right, let's see here, what else we have? Program 3. What questions do you have specific to your situations? Anything? Right?
What's happening is my mother and father-in-law, my husband and I moved in there 2 years ago because they didn't want the facility. So since then, my father-in-law has passed away, and now my husband is back. So I'm there trying to juggle those things.
Yes.
I get very run down, but, you know, for me, I have to keep the faith and, you know, but it's very overwhelming.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
very overwhelming. I mean, there's days that I'm on the phone just probably for 4 hours trying to get between doctors.
Absolutely.
Nurses coming to the house.
Absolutely.
So it's just very overwhelming for myself.
If you are providing care for a veteran, or you are a surviving spouse of a veteran, if you are providing care for a veteran or a surviving spouse of a veteran, okay? There's programs out there that can offer assistance. Now, there's a few eligibility requirements. One, that veteran has to have had an honorable discharge. He or she had to have served one day in active duty in wartime. One day, that's it. And then there is some financial, which are pretty good. They don't actually count your home or, some of the bigger assets. If you are, there's a program out there called Aid and Attendance. It's through the Veterans Administration. Yes, it has paperwork, as any military program has. But what that does is, if you're found eligible, what the VA does is they actually drop money into the account of that veteran every month. They call it a pension. Okay? I've seen it range anywhere between $1,100 and $1,600 a month. That's not saying it can't even go higher. That money is to be solely used for the care of your loved one. If you have someone from the church that says, I can only do 20 hours a week, you can figure out that money and say, you know what, I can give you $15 an hour. And then you have someone else from an agency that they say, well, we can do 30 hours a week. Oh, they'll accept that. Okay? Now, this is one program that actually, what they call follows the vet. So in other words, if you're caring for a veteran and it gets to the point where, you know what, I think we need to think about placement. It's just getting, it's too overwhelming. First of all, there's no shame in that. Second of all, that money follows that veteran. So if you go from home to a local facility, let's just say St. Andrews for the sake of a big one here, that money follows the veteran there, goes towards the monthly cost of care, which can be substantial. When you're talking a few $1,000s or more a month, that $1,100, $1,600 can really cut down a lot. So, Aid and Attendance, it's a program offered to veterans and surviving spouses. So surviving spouses are also eligible. You can get care in the home. If you needed it 24 hours a day, you just say, okay, I got $1,600, and I'm going to pay my daylight staff this amount, my nighttime staff this. You can figure it all out to use up whatever money monthly. That's monthly, coming in every month. So, great program, and here's the thing. It goes away. So that's why I'm really encouraging people. Yes, it's a headache, but the application process can be kind of managed. You can go to your local American Legion. You can contact the local Veterans Affairs office here at the courthouse. You can go to a VFW, any service organization that your spouse may have been involved with or not. They didn't have to be a member there. They should have what's called a service officer that can assist with all that paperwork. They can get whatever documentation you may need. Of course, you need discharge papers. But they can offer all that assistance for you. And to even cut you out of some of the chaos, they can actually act as the veteran's liaison between the veteran and the VA. So, you're not getting these calls, trying to figure everything out. A service officer can do all of that. As a veteran myself, this is something that I think is a fantastic program. I hope and pray I never need it, but I know it's there, and I know it's available. So please, if it's something that you're interested in, let me know. I'll gladly send out an application, information for you, whatever it is you would like. I'll gladly pop that in your mail for you and offer you any support I can do.
Sorry.
That's all
I
right.
have another question. What's happening, see, aging services won't come in to help because we're living. Like, I can't get help with cleaning. I mean, I.
No one can.
Yeah, we're just.
They did away with the homemaker program, believe it or not. And the reason being, once COVID hit, a lot of the agencies that they subcontract out to said, we're not putting our staff in these homes. So many calls there constantly, like, this one needs help, this one needs, and then just came to a stop. Now, there's helpmates. There are different other places out there that are willing to come into the home. And I'm always checking back with them every few weeks just to say, hey, you back yet? So it is a difficult process to maneuver, especially when our resources become limited, as they have. Aging has undergone some changes over the past, I'd say 6 to 9 months. So what used to be my go-to, it's kind of stalled. So that's why I'm trying to reach out into different arenas to figure out what other options are out there. I just wish there was a solid answer I could offer you. The only thing I can suggest is just call agencies yourself, Guardian, wherever. I mean, I'm just thinking locally here, but contact them yourself and just say, listen, this is what I need, or go through the waiver. Go through the waiver program. Waiver program is going to send that application into hands, and they're able to, lo and behold, they're able to find out who's able to come in. So waivers are something else. That's what I got from my grandfather. Here, touched it. I got the waiver from my grandfather because I needed to work. So, I was getting really tired of being ready for work and no one showing up. And then I'm like, hey, where's the aide at? Oh, they called off. Well, where's my replacement at? Well, we don't have one. Well, guess what? Your boss doesn't want to hear that. First first few times maybe, but after that, so the nurse told me about, let's get him eligible for a waiver. So we did. Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing. So whenever I needed them, if I needed them 8 hours a day, they were there 8 hours a day. They took care of everything. They did his breakfast, they did his blood sugars, they got him up out of bed, they got him bathed, they got him dressed, got him ready for the day, gave him his newspaper, and he was set. Then we would chit chat the rest of the day while they were cleaning up and wiping down, and the waiver was fantastic. We were able to get, I think, 45 hours a week. And I've heard it being more than that. I've heard it being 24 hours around the clock for a good part of the week. I've heard it being like 60 hours a week. So it's out there. It's out there. Waiver, I can't talk high enough about it. And like I said, there's like 15 different waiver programs. A lot of them with the requirements, they need to be nursing home eligible. So if your loved one has issues that could qualify them to go into a nursing home, but they want to be home, that's a qualification. Age is a qualification. Some of them are to 59, other ones are up to 80. They're all in different brackets. There's independence waivers. So someone can come in and offer support and allow them to be as independent as they can be and just still be there. Some people tell me, yeah, I live alone, but I love when that person's sitting outside the shower while I'm getting to bed, because I know someone's here for home. So there's comfort in that level of care. It's just a matter of the needs. Like I said, there are resources out there for caregivers. It's just a matter of whose door do you knock on first? Whose phone do you ring first? Where do you begin? It's overwhelming. I tell people, look to your church. Look to come and sit while you go to caregiving. Or go out to coffee with your daughter. Go out for coffee with your daughter. You'd be surprised at the people that would say, oh, I'll sit there with them and, what price is right, and put a puzzle together. Look to your church family. Your church family is a big extension of supports that, a lot of people tend to not want to bother anybody. But, it's there. Churches are really starting to step out and really understand the needs of their congregations and their church families. So please, if that's the case, come to your church for support. Let Father be made aware that, if someone says they're looking for a little job or something, I could use some help with bill or whatever. Because it's a good support. That's all I can say. I know because, I have a wonderful church family. So, I know I didn't directly answer that question, but unfortunately, there is so many roadblocks.
I understand COVID. When you're dealing with something very stubborn.
Yes,
So it's
yes, absolutely.
very overwhelming for myself. I just live for the day and get myself through it.
And you will. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to suggest, and I know this firsthand, okay? If your loved one has issues such as Alzheimer's, heart conditions, lung conditions, look to the organizations. For instance, American Heart Association, American Cancer Foundation, all of these different things that are out there, you would be surprised at the resources that they have at your disposal. Call them. Quick story, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, 2013. I was working in a different job. Started my chemotherapy, and I had to tell my boss. I wasn't one to allow that type of thing, but I was in a supervisory role, and I needed someone to kind of pinch hit for me if I wasn't going to be there. So I went to my boss, and he said, "Oh, we're so sorry. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. You do what you need to do. If you need me to get someone to fill in, all you need to do is call." Oh, thank you. Went to my second chemo treatment. Went to work the following day. Now, mind you, didn't miss work. They were carrying my health insurance. She pulls me in the office out of the blue and says, "We decided we don't need your position." Now, mind you, 2 weeks for my diagnosis. Now, you don't need me. Well, needless to say, I left there in a ball of tears. And I don't even remember my drive home. I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to stop my treatment. What am I going to do? You just can't stop it. So I'm sobbing away, and I'm sobbing. Now, let me put a little phrase here. I was a naysayer when it came to these 800 lines. Okay? I got home and I just dropped to my knees, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Well, I got these ones. I thought, well, there's a cancer association. Surely they know something. I can't be the first one that this happened to, right? So I called them. And this lady, God bless her, 2 hours on the phone she was with me while I'm a blubbering mess. Calm as could be. And she said to me, honey, I said, I'm going to have to stop my treatment. Like, I'm scared. Like, what do I do? Now I have no insurance. And she says, there are other options for you. We have 5 different programs that we can look at getting you on. By the time I hung up that phone in an hour and about 45 minutes, I had a brand new insurance. I stopped being a naysayer. That woman changed my life. Just when I thought I was getting plopped on my ear, all of a sudden, that calm, beautiful, soft voice that maintained that level the whole call. The whole call, while I'm a mess. I didn't even know what I was saying half the time. So please, if you're looking at situations such as that, please reach out. There are programs, there are services just within that specific health issue that your loved one is having. So don't give up. Your loved one needs you. You need that extra support. So please reach out to those type of places. And I say that. Oh, I'm not used to this. See? It's still working. I'm sorry. But please reach out. It's definitely worth. It's definitely worth getting information. So if you're dealing with those situations, please reach out, because you'd be very surprised. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm tired. I am exhausted. I don't think I can go one more day with 2 hours of sleep. It's okay. It's okay to say all that. There's no shame in that. Caregiving is hard work. It's hard. And we don't get validated for it. My validation was when my grandfather was so happy, he'd be laughing, we'd watch Gunsmoke. Bonanza, Andy Griffith, the whole thing. itself is a reward for me. So please reach out. If you want my number, you can call the VA, you can ask to speak with me. I will gladly help you in any way I can, specific to each individual. So please, if you need to reach out, please do so. I will gladly offer any sort of assistance that I possibly can.
Is there a local group of support for caregivers?
There are caregiver support groups, yes.
I noticed something on AARP saying they now have a service of caregivers. I don't know.
Through AARP?
AARP.
That I haven't confirmed yet, yes, I have seen it, I haven't confirmed it, that's usually something I like to do before I put it out there. But, yeah, that's definitely, AARP, they offer a whole lot of services too.
But back to the local question, I said, I mean, people wear out, you just don't have the energy to go on and everything. How do they do it any longer? I mean, to whom can you reach out? Is it already functioning this way in Indiana County?
There are some, not a lot. Generally, caregiving support groups, you can always go to one and find out who is running that. They can connect. Sometimes what they do is do kind of a peer type of situation too. So, if you're experiencing issues with your husband and there's another lady, kind of connect with that person and be able to cry together, laugh together, and offer that type of support. So, I know Indiana Regional have caregiver support programs as well. I can confirm that for you if that's something of interest, for sure. For sure. Any other questions?
Hey, I'll ask another question.
Yeah.
So here's somebody who's taking care of a family member, and she's pretty worn out because she has to do this all the time. Rarely gets a day off of any sort. If you were to give somebody like that some quick little pieces of advice, what would you tell them to do every day?
Step away. Step away. Whether that means, like I said, a front porch, a back porch, take a breath air. You need to refresh yourself. I even tell people, you know what, if you can get a neighbor, a trusted friend, someone to come over for some rest while you can. It's exhausting. It's mentally exhausting, it's physically exhausting. It takes your whole body. Taking care of two.
Yeah, I go to the closet and pray. I do
Prayer
that.
closets?
I go in
Prayer
the
closets?
closet,
Yeah.
I'm down and I'm praying.
Yeah.
And if I have to sit there forever long and talk, have my conversation, that's what I do. But
We need to get you LinkedIn somewhere.
yeah, I have DNA coming now.
Good.
They're coming from my husband.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think I need to get somebody, her to.
Yeah. You know what? Ask that. Talk to your nurse. Talk to your nurse. Or your therapist. Is she a therapist?
Yeah.
Talk to either one of those. Ask for a social work referral. I can stop out and talk to you specifically to your needs. Okay? Because at that point, then we can talk a little bit, more, see what's eligible, what you're eligible for out there, and we can definitely get something worked out. That I'm confident. Okay? Don't.
No, you know what, that's me, because, I have a low, arthritic, and I have all that, the surgeries, and I was always one that would just go and go and go. And there's days that I don't feel good, and my children say, Mom, it's okay to say you hurt. Because I'm always the type, if somebody or something, if they have
Spoken like a
money
true
to,
caregiver.
say you're tired, feel
Sure. And it's okay to say, you know what, son, can you help me out today? I really need a little help. I'm mesmerized. I'm not gonna be any good to you, to your sister, to your dad. You know, with adult children, it makes it very difficult sometimes, especially whenever there's different relationships, different dynamics that go on. So it does make it difficult, but you know, and sometimes people say, well, I don't even ask. They should know. They should know by looking at me, just how stressed out I am. But, you know, sometimes people aren't going to say, hey, you know, until they know you're like ready to call it time out. So if you're able to reach out, to, you know, a good friend, neighbors are great. When you got good neighbors, man, you got, I'm seeing more and more of that, where the neighbors are really saying, you know what, go get your hair done. I'll sit with him for a while. We'll bring him out on the porch with this better weather. Bring him out on the porch. Him and I can sit there like we used to do. So, you know, when you're offered those opportunities, take it. And it's sometimes very difficult to do. That was like not easy. But I realized that I was offering my grandfather no service helpful to him. But I mean, it almost was like backfiring on me, to be honest with you. You know, because then it's like, you know, all those little tiny things. Then any other day when I was rested, it wouldn't mean a thing. We'd laugh about it, we'd carry on about it. Boy, we're tired. So it's really important to make sure, you know, you put those things into kind of a little box at the end of each day, set it up there, and tomorrow bring that box down. And you know, sometimes visualizing stuff like that is very helpful too. You know, I had a friend many years ago that said, I have so much stuff in my head. I said, take it out. So a little by little, just took her this imaginary box. She ended up upgrading, but doing it was so helpful. And you know, we don't clear our heads. When our heads hit our pillow, they're not cleared out. And we wonder why we twist, turn, grumble. And then before you know it, there goes the other one. So we need to take care of ourselves. I will help anybody in any way I can, so please, get my information from Father. If at any point you have questions that you may have, I'll be glad to offer you any sort of support, direction that you may need. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. This is a pretty neat gadget for all that is.
If anyone is interested in requesting an application for veterans assistance, we started a listing of names and addresses if you'd like to sign up for that.